Nancy Batty. How are you today? Driving to the park this morning in the rain. I live in Vancouver and we're starting to get some of our wintry weather. We're famous for our heavy rains, but it brings such beauty to the rainforest that we have here in BC that we're so blessed with. So I was driving to the park, getting ready to go walk the dogs for the morning run and jog around and let off all that pent energy that they have. And I was thinking to myself, the rain tends to bring out a little bit more grumbliness and grumpiness from people when they're driving, And it's almost like when it rains, people drive a little bit faster, a little bit more impatient. They want to scoot in front of each other a little bit more. They have less consideration for one another. And I was thinking to myself, it's so easy for most people to get caught up in all of that chaos, and it's a form of aggression, and it's a form of fear, and it's a form of taking care of myself first. It's a form of selfishness, and it's all driven by the ego. It's all driven by the ego trying to take care of number one first. I don't want to necessarily let you into line in front of me, because heavens forbid I could be like all of 30 seconds behind you, and you might get to where you're going faster than I will. But it's not a conscious thought. It's not something that the majority of people do deliberately. They don't do it on purpose. They don't wake up in the morning and get into the car and think, I'm going to see how many people I can tick off today by being selfish and uncaring. That's not how it works. For most people, it's not how it works. It might be the odd person, but I would find that hard to believe. So many of our thoughts are unconscious, subconscious thinking. It actually drives 97% of what we do. That's a huge number. Try to get your head wrapped around that. 97% of our thoughts, and we have, experts kind of say between 60,000, 70,000 thoughts a day. And 97% of those thoughts we're not consciously aware of. They're not deliberate. They're not on purpose. And quite often, most often, they're the same repetitious thoughts over and over and over and over again. So when we wake up in the morning and we start thinking about the pressure in our life and the stresses upon us, we're repeating that same pattern. We're playing the same record, recording over and over and over again. What we don't realize in that, mess of messages that we're constantly sending ourselves are all the little messages that we have even deeper about how we feel about who we are, how we feel about ourselves. And they're very unconscious thoughts, and they come from such a variety of experiences, environments, conditions. They come from a time in our life where we were very young, under the age of 7, under the age of 9, where a lot of comments, things have been said, things have been done. We didn't have the ability to filter when it went through our thinking process. So we've literally taken it to heart, and it's helped us to believe in lesser of ourselves. It's helped us to create an opinion, a view, a perception, a perspective of who we believe ourselves to be. And it's so false. It's not supportive of who we truly are, and it's where our self-esteem starts to get, disenchanted. It starts to become compromised. We're not aware that that's where it's coming from. And so over time, we just continue to develop these habits. We continue to think poorly of ourselves. So by the time we get to a point in our life where we are just driving in traffic on our way to work, and all the aggression, all the stress from our daily life is coming out in us by the way of getting annoyed if someone, imagine they just want to cut into the line in front of you, not to tick you off, but they have places to go as well. And they equally, as you, have all these thoughts spinning through their mind. And they're not conscious of how they're thinking. And a lot of those thoughts are very negative, critical thoughts about ourselves. So what happens is our ego kicks in, and it happens so quickly. We don't even realize how quickly it occurs. And so if we're driving along and the person just realizes, oh my gosh, I'm in the wrong lane and I need to scoot over like now, the person that really isn't happy about that occurring, their ego kicks in and says, hey, wait a minute, what about me? It's a protective thing. It's a selfish thing because the ego's about taking care of ourselves first. And then the person that was trying to cut in and really wasn't doing it to be nasty, their ego kicks in and says, hey, don't try to reject me. I'm just as entitled as you are to be in front of you. How dare you not let me in? And the first guy behind, or woman, saying, hey, how dare you try to get in? Imagine how exhausting that is on our psyches, on our emotional health, on our mental health, on our spirits, on our energy. Just imagine, and that's the slightest, smallest example, and yet you start compiling all the other things and issues and thoughts and worries and stress you have in your life on top of that. Imagine the compounding effect. Now, what would happen if you became conscious of your thoughts? What would happen if you took some advice, say, from Louise Hay, that speaks to the power of your chosen words, speaks to the power of deliberate intent, deliberate thought? What if you tried to change some of those 97% of your thoughts, 60,000 plus of them, that are, pretty nasty for the most part, or at least unsupportive? What if you changed them to being thoughts about, I love you, I approve of you, I respect you, I honor you, I forgive you? I'm not talking about someone else, I'm talking about ourselves. What if you started playing that tape instead? What if you did it for 30 days, nonstop, every day? Do it for a couple of minutes in the morning. Just develop a habit. It takes 28 to 30 days to develop a new habit, to make a new track in that brain of yours. 97%, that means 3%, that's it. That's it that we use to consciously think about what we're thinking about, consciously and deliberately think about what we want to do and what our goals are for the day and where we're off to and what we're going to do and who we're going to see and how we're going to treat them. That's not a whole lot of percentage. But what if you started changing the odds? What if you started improving the quality of that 97% of unconscious thoughts? What if you started being nicer to yourself? What if when you're driving down the road, instead of thinking about the person that's cutting you off or worrying that they potentially might cut you off, what if as you're driving down the road you just repeated the words to yourself? I love you, I approve of you. I love you, I accept you. I love you, I approve of you. I love you, I honor you. I love you, I approve of you. I love you, I love you. What if you just deliberately started changing the thoughts in your mind to create some new patterns? I guarantee if you were to start doing that, when that person goes to cut in front of you, your heart will be so full of love for yourself that your ego will be kept at bay, and you will graciously allow that person to cut in front of you, because you will realize it's not that that person's trying to get one up on you, or better you, or impede you, or hurt you, or reject you. If you can be kinder to yourself, you can be kinder to other people. And that's the slightest little example. But imagine the power of that. And if you extend that to that person, and he or she slides into line easily, and you can guarantee they're probably expecting some resistance, and you don't offer that, they're probably like, hey, they're probably more willing to do that for the next person that wants to cut in front of them. How cool is that? Just by changing your thoughts, just by starting to love yourself. All you gotta do is say, I love you, and I approve of you. I'm Nancy Batty. Love yourself first. Extend yourself to others.